There is not one word that describes Grandma.
There's 5,000,000.
It's too hard to describe Grandma in one word.
I can do it.
Same with Grandma.
Well, I'll try.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Special, awesome, and cool. Your turn.
Good word.
I would say genuine.
Love, pure unconditional love.
I'd say loving.
One word that would describe you is incredible.
Oh,
Because you're absolutely incredible.
thank you. That's a real big positive. I'd
Yeah.
say.
Enthusiastic because she's always excited about everything that we're doing at the cabin, especially in the morning. She'd always be willing to plan the day to do whatever we wanted to do.
One word that would describe you is joyful.
Oh, thank you. I like
You're always
that.
happy,
Yeah,
right?
try. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a lot to be happy about.
Yeah.
Oh, grandkids and kids.
Yeah.
Even Susan. Yeah.
I'd say snuggly.
How about one word for Grandpa?
Funny, fun, and special, and cool.
Ooh, all good.
Mine would have to be selfless.
And for Grandpa, sweetness. It's so sentimental and sweet and thoughtful. And
I'd probably say giving of his time and all of the things he has.
Mine would be loyal because he's always been loyal through everything.
Let's hear about when you met.
Well, it was a double-blind date. A friend of mine that knew a friend of Grandma's. The only thing I had was Grandma's street address, Mary Lou, and the street address, 4112 Harriet. I was in the Army, so I'd be on 36 and off 12. And I got off from duty late on a Saturday, January 13th, and I was going to pick up Grandma. The only problem was I didn't know the city very well and ended up in Bloomington. There's a Harriet Avenue down in Bloomington. I was just about 2.5 hours late, a little bit less than that, and I walked up to the door. I couldn't call because I didn't have her phone number. So I walked up to the door a little late, and there was a little window, and I peeked through. And she came to the door, and she was really, she was smiling, and she was cute. She was still there. She waited all that time.
amazingly, not happily. I thought I had his name. I think Roy, and then I think I had the last name in South Dakota. That's all I knew. No phone, of course, either. But this isn't looking good. Name, South Dakota, late. Not a good start.
But I had this fancy new car.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So
That helped.
and we double dated with a friend of mine I was rooming with, and we went to see the Kim sisters at downtown nightclub called
Harry's, I think.
We went to the cocktail show, and they were great. They'd been on Ed Sullivan, so we really thought this
Big
was something
time.
special. This was big time. Yeah, we went there. Then afterwards, we went to 50th and Penn in South Minneapolis for pizza. Really not the fanciest place around, but so that was a dinner. And as we got into it, I realized I didn't have any money to pay for my half of the dinner, so I had to signal Tony that it was time that we visit the bathroom so I could go in and arrange for a loan to help pay mine, so I could give it back to him in the form of payment for my half of the dinner. And so she thought she had really found something really, new car, Kim sisters. I mean, what more could you want? That was about the last time we went out.
The only time
No,
we went out.
we went out to, have a party in my apartment. Where else did we go?
We never went to a movie because we didn't have any money. No.
No, that's right.
I would say the funniest story about Grandma is when we called Grandma a couple years ago and she asked us what we were doing, and we said that we went to the Apple store today, and she thought that we were getting Apple Crisp, and we had to explain that we were going to the actual Apple store, and now she has an iPhone and she's very technologically advanced.
And I was like, 4 4 or 5. We were going to go on a paddle boat ride, and we had unhooked it, and Grandma pushed us off, and then she fell in the water.
I thought I could get on too.
Yeah. And I remember I cried
Yes.
because I was scared.
Well, I was kind of shocked. I probably looked very different. Right?
But yeah, but it was pretty funny.
Did you
Afterwards.
have a life jacket on?
Oh no. It wasn't over my head. It was right by the dock.
Yeah, right by
Just with my clothes on.
pretty funny.
I'd have to say it's from my DC trip just around the corner. We were going to go to an ice cream store from our hotel, and the lady at the desk said that it was just down a block and around the corner, and we ended up walking like 7 blocks to get to it. So
Every
funny
day.
one. Yeah, every day. Went there a couple times. It was good ice cream though.
It was worth it.
Worth it.
For Grandma, was the first time that I sort of realized too that Grandma, not that she isn't perfect, but that she can make mistakes sometimes too. And we were in a parking lot outside of the dry cleaners by Firely's. And she backed into somebody else's car, and it was just such a surprise that Grandma could do anything wrong or that
Crash.
Yeah. and it was funny, I guess. And she was all embarrassed and didn't want to tell anybody. It was cute.
When I was born, Grandma was in the elevator somewhere, and she saw a guy with a Tommy Hilfiger shirt, and it said Tommy on it, as in the brand Tommy Hilfiger. And so she said, "Oh, I have a grandson whose name is Tommy. Do you too?" And then he just said, and then I don't know, but he just probably was very confused.
He was, and his mother too. I thought it was strictly for you.
Yeah. I would say the funniest memory of Grandpa is the fireworks show every year, as he always does his best, but every year it just gets closer and closer as he just slowly is declining in speed. So hopefully we have many more years of that to come.
Funniest memory would probably be all of the attempts to keep the geese off the beach. And whenever the geese would come invade the beach, the battle that would ensue for the next about 20 minutes of trying to chase them away with many different means. Rocks, BB guns. We put like trip wires out. Vermilion the coyote, or the coyote. I don't know, we've had all sorts of them.
Well, Drew is just a baby, and his mom and dad went to a show out at the Chanhassen Dinner Theater, and Drew stayed with us. Then he decided he was hungry, and so I had to take him to his mother, so I called and I went out there.
Well, you tried a bottle and you tried baby food first.
Yeah.
Because we had
It
left
didn't work.
that with you.
Tried
It
everything.
didn't work. So I put Drew in his car seat and I took him out to dress him up because it was winter. And I said, put him in his snowsuit and put him in the car seat, into the car. Drove out to Chanhassen, took him into the theater, and his mom fed him. And he was fine. He got back in the car.
And you were so calm and quiet and sweet while we were in the lobby.
Baby should learn how to take a bottle. It's ridiculous he doesn't know how to drink out of a bottle. Why you don't teach that kid to drink out of a bottle? You expect everybody just to, you always have to have a tap sheet, and it doesn't make any sense.
I don't think I said it quite that way. But I think I suggested that he should learn how to drink from a bottle. Anyway, then drove him back home so they could go for the rest of the show.
Laid him back and he's laid him down so you could have an easy night, rest, sleep.
And I put him in
the room.
In the room, in his snowsuit and
Buckled in.
everything. Buckled in his
So he didn't fall out.
thing in his bed because I was afraid I was going to wake him back up.
In his car seat.
In his car seat. So, anyway,
It worked.
it worked till his folks came home and found him a little bit warm. For our engagement, it was kind of an unplanned. I had planned it in my mind, but I didn't have the scene set very well. we went to, I had actually talked to Mary Lou's uncle, her aunt's husband, Clarence, to find a place to buy the wedding rings, engagement rings. And I had sold my electric typewriter and floated alone with my dad. And so I was kind of getting all set, but I was nervous and I didn't know how I was going to make this proposal. And I found that from Uncle Clarence, so what I should do is take her downtown to a place called the Normandy Village, which was a piano bar and restaurant, and they had great popovers. So we went there we did go there for dinner and popovers. Then we went to a party of Wheaton friends and Benson friends. And then after the party went past midnight, obviously, and then I took Mary Lou back to Mother Larkin's house, and we're in the car, and finally I said, would you marry me? And she says, I'll think about it. And I was kind of stunned by that. Took her to the door. Went home. The next morning came back and picked her up because I was in the Army and we had to go to the colonel's, the commanding officer of the base's house. I was January 1. And we went there and I had to lay my card on a little silver tray, go calling on him and be all this protocol. And then we did that. And then I took her back to her house and I went back to the base. I went to the base. And so then I didn't see her again until the 4th. We talked about it about I'd see her on the 4th and we'd go look for wedding rings, but she'd still never told me yes, and to this day has never told me yes. 53 and a half years later. So what's your version of it?
That's it, except you have to remember this is like 2 in the morning, probably, in the front seat of a car, and I'm thinking, well, this may be, just not quite ideal, not that I was expecting. We hadn't even talked about getting married. So this was kind of out of the blue, so that's my version.
Well, Clarence had also told me where to go in the name of the person to call at Bergstrom's Jewelry. So we went on the 4th when I got off duty. We went downtown. It was late in the afternoon on the 4th, and we went shopping at Bergstrom's Jewelry and picked out the ring together. She picked it out, her preference, obviously. And then we thought about it, and while they were sizing it, fixing it, we went downstairs and had a Coke, talked a little bit more about it in a little drugstore. Then we went back upstairs and she got her ring. And then we went to Mother Larkin's. This cute little lady who we called Mother Larkin. She was just a real sweet person, and she'd seen us together all these months. And she had a glass of, a little bottle of silver satin, which was a kind of not the world's most expensive wine. Tasted somewhat like oral polio vaccine. And we had a little small glass, really small little glass of wine to toast the occasion.
Right.
And then we headed to Benson, called Mary Lou's mom and said we were coming out to Benson. And I'm sure she was not surprised when we walked in. 9 at night, we called, say we're driving out to Benson. So we drive out there and say hello to her mom and show her the ring and such. And then we came back to Minneapolis because I think I had duty the next day again. I had crazy hours. And
then I quickly went to shop for a wedding dress downtown Minneapolis, and I found just the perfect one, I thought, at Harold's. Kind of a upper end department store. It's no longer there. But it was a winter dress for a July wedding, but I really loved it, and it was on sale for $100, which was a lot. So I paid by the month and got the favorite dress. Donna was in the Peace Corps, so we knew that when she left that we probably we would probably not have her in the wedding because it was 2 years she was going to be gone. So Sandy was the maid of honor, and then friends, Max, Karn, high school friends, and
Twink Lynch.
Ellie, who was on our first date, was there, and then Twink Lynch was in it too. So that was, and Little Flower Girl was niece Debbie Terwilliger, and Green Bear was David Terwilliger, 4 and 6 years old probably.
Well, the best man was my brother Dick, and Don was in the wedding, and John Hall, a longtime friend John Hall, and then Dick Welch, better known as Rube, and Tony Wagner, John Berry, and Tom George, and Troy Jones. And Troy and Tom George were ushers. The others were actually groomsmen and stood up in front. So we were, it was for that time it was a large wedding. Night before the wedding we had a rehearsal dinner at the Benson Golf Club, which was very nice. And then Mary Lou went home with her mother because
Rest.
to get rest. And we stayed and had a bachelor's party where some of the girls also stayed, which went till quite late into the next morning. So I didn't get a lot of rest, but and everybody got up the next morning, all the guys went and played golf except Tony and I, and Tony was assigned to stay with me in the hotel. That's where, in the motel, Earl's. And so I don't know what I did in the morning. What did you do in the morning?
Well, I was busy. The Tahalkis, our favorite relatives from South Dakota, came. I mean, they probably hadn't been to a wedding, you know, but they came early. So Mom was scurrying around making noon meal for them. I canceled my hair appointment and everything so that I could haul the wedding guests, you know, that came to the house or whatever and arranged at the church. So I never did have my hair done or nails or anything.
You called
All natural.
You called Donna in Africa.
We did. That was planned. We were all so excited to talk for just a couple minutes. Yes, because we were all crying. Yes.
Yeah, that was not cheap to call Africa in those days.
Had to be planned ahead.
Yeah.
What was the weather the day of your wedding?
Hot and humid, 90, some
Sunny.
humid, no air conditioning anywhere, no fans, nothing. Just hot and humid, but it was what it was. Couldn't change that.
Ooh, I think my favorite thing to do with you, Grandma, is to run errands and shopping all day long.
We're good
When
at
we're
that.
busy all day.
Yeah, we're-
Or just to be at home and read all day with you is
Isn't that-
also wonderful.
Oh, good.
Those are both wonderful. They're kind of opposites, but they're wonderful.
I enjoy it.
Boat rides and shopping and driving.
Snuggle.
Oh, right word. Always the right word. Never too much snuggle. Never enough.
Grandma let me drive once, and
You have your license.
no, not yet. I will get my license.
Then you can drive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't know all about it.
Did you get caught driving
Yes,
by anybody?
yes, by my dad and Grandpa.
We were just practicing going down the driveway at the cabin. It's no big deal.
This was this year,
And how old are you?
12.
It's also really nice to just be
Two of us.
the two of us
During the
going on
week.
little paddle boat rides or reading.
Eating. No TV.
Yeah,
We
well,
didn't turn
we
it
didn't
on.
watch much
Yeah.
TV at all, yeah. Some of the most peaceful times in my memory for sure. Really nice.
That was
That was
special. Yeah.
Wake.
My favorite thing to do with Grandma is go to Gotcha's and Target and
It's good. I like those too, yeah. We have good luck at both places.
best thing that Grandma makes is her yummy chocolate chip cookies.
Did you help? What do you like better than the cookies, probably?
The dough.
That's right. We both do, don't we? Sample it.
I just take my little sample.
Chocolate chip cookies, hands down.
Oh, chocolate chip cookies.
I think that the best thing Grandma makes is and will always be her banana bread.
Oh.
I still love my banana bread.
Should have had some ready today
Oh,
for
it's
you.
all right? Don't worry about it.
I would have to go with chocolate chip cookies.
Her apple pie.
Or her chocolate smoothies.
I would say the flag cake that we make every year for the 4th of July.
You like?
My favorite thing my grandma makes is her cookies.
Chocolate chippers.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I should have had those too. Could have, should have.
Oh, don't have to have anything. It's enough that you're here.
Oh, she always says the right thing, doesn't she?
For our honeymoon, we spent our wedding night at the Talina Point Hotel, breakfast in bed the next day, and then we left and drove to Duluth and across northern Michigan, and we stayed at Marquette, Michigan, and then we went on in the state of St. Ignace, Michigan, which is right on the shore of Lake Michigan, and then the following morning we took the ferry over to Mackinac Island, and we stayed at the Grand Hotel. Has the longest front porch in the world, you know. Mackinac Island is this really cute island, just horses, no cars, and about 8 miles and 6 miles in circumference. And we'd ride the bike around a couple, 3 days, and then we went to the pool a couple times a day. The pool was this fancy pool that had been used by Esther Williams in some movie she had made, and they had pictures all over this famous movie. I'd forgotten the name of it. And then you were assigned a table in the dining room, and you sat there, and you always had to wear a sport coat at noon, and then a suit and tie in the evening for dinner. And that was always very nice, except that I forgot my glasses in the car. I had prescription sunglasses, which I was wearing when we used the ferry to get to the island, and I mistakenly forgotten my regular glasses in the car. So we discover this about the time we're getting ready to go down for dinner, and of course I have to take my glasses off. I can't walk around in the hotel, I didn't think, with sunglasses on, so I couldn't see very well, and so we'd go to dinner without my glasses, and then after dinner we'd go and have a little dancing, but then it would make me nauseous not to have glasses on, so we'd go up and go to the hotel room. So we didn't stay up late in the end, and it was too expensive to go take the ferry back to get the regular glasses. It would have been $15 to do that. That would have been 2 trips, so it'd been $30. That would have been
over the budget.
Over the budget. So we got along without them. We did a lot of, we were outdoors a lot during the day, so it didn't make any difference during the day. And we had, anyway, it was a wonderful spot. And we went up to the Fort Mackinac and sat on top of at the top of the fort and looked out at the ocean, at the Great Lakes, and had a lemonade in the middle of the afternoon. And what else exciting did we do? It was a lot of rip-roaring excitement. We had a great time.
Well, it got to be Camp Grandma because the boys, grandchildren, all they would talk about going to Camp Grandma, and so for a surprise for everybody for our anniversary, I had contacted a sign maker who would make a sign that looked like something that would be in a state park or whatever, and it had Camp Grandma on it, and then also included as a resort for exceptional children and grandchildren. I should have had also added on the reverse side a camp where no rules are ever broken, because there are none, because Grandma never sets any rules there, so
True.
That's why Camp Grandma became very famous.
Don't need any rules.
My favorite memory from the cabin is, I think it's actually kind of recent. I would say that it is when this summer I went with you and Grandpa on that wonderful pontoon ride that we took for like an hour or something. I don't know. It was very long and wonderful, and we got to talk, and it was wonderful.
I love it. Yeah. Did you drive a little bit?
Of course.
I remember that. We didn't hit anything?
No.
No.
It was all wonderful.
That's perfect.
My favorite memories up at the cabin are definitely playing golf with Grandpa, and also going up for the 4th of July and having our whole family there for a couple of days every year.
Fun to go fishing, boat rides, and bonfires.
going up there for the 4th of July and fishing and playing wiffle ball and golfing and going to Pirates Cove and everything.
Catching my big bass and whipping it.
Favorite would be when I was in college and spent the summers mostly with Grandma every day and Grandpa on the weekends or the long weekends.
The 4th of July fireworks show is in bonfires.
Everyone being up there is fun. And
Everybody together.
everyone together.
Playing the water, splashing each other, doing gun war with guns for water guns. Yeah.
Cabin was jumping off the pontoon with all my cousins.
Oh yeah, that's the best.
Who drives us to jump off the pontoon?
You.
The best. Yeah. I'm good at driving. Not so good at life saving, right?
Oh,
You all had your life jackets.
that's right.
Perfectly safe.
Yeah.
When we got home from our honeymoon, we had $35, I think, between us. And we had saved that intentionally, of course, for groceries, knowing we had to eat for a couple of weeks before the next paycheck. And so I bought hamburger, pork chops, a lot of pork and beans, luckily.
Some hot dogs.
Some hot dogs. I thought, well, this will be great for 2 weeks. And about 3 days later, opened the refrigerator and there was this odor. It was the meat. I did not freeze it. I put it in the refrigerator and it wasn't good. Had to throw out all the meat, so we lived on pretty much beans.
Beans and cereal.
Yeah. Till the next paycheck.
I knew from my vast experience working in a grocery store going through high school
Should have known.
that you didn't keep meat just sitting in a refrigerator for a few days. You frozen it if you were going to use it in a day or two. The farm girl who
Should have.
Should have.
But I didn't do groceries. Our mother did it all.
so
Now I know.
she now knows what pork chops look like when they turn green, what that means.
Too late.
Yeah.
This is July, peak corn season. Of course, it was one of our favorite things on the farm. And so, of course, we grew our own. We always had 10, 12 years, probably 8 or 10 at least for our dad. And then we each eat 2, 3, 4, 5 at least, along with fried chicken or whatever Mom made. So I thought, aha, he's bigger than my dad was. So I have a feeling he'll probably eat 10 ears. And I'll eat 2 or 3, so I cooked a roaster full of corn to have with our hamburger or whatever. And he came to the table and saw this platter full of corn. And he said, somebody coming? I said, no. And I thought you would probably eat 10 or 12 ears. And no, we just had it as a vegetable at our house, just 1 or 2 ears.
My favorite trip with Grandma was Washington, D.C.
I would say Florida.
I personally like the Black Hills, South Dakota. It's not very fun.
I love that
Yes,
trip.
our cabin had bunk bed.
Great
and,
choice.
And it was fun because we took pretty pictures in like the weeds, kind of. And we took funny pictures too.
I would say going to Washington, D.C.
Well, my favorite trip with Grandma was to Washington, D.C.
Oh, yeah. That was the, actually, a year ago is all, wasn't it?
Yeah.
My last trip to Washington. Yeah.
Would probably be that first one that I took with you guys alone to California. 'Cause it was the first time. I was only 10 and felt very grown up and exciting, and I hadn't been on a fancy trip ever before. So it was the first time I felt like a jet setter or something going on. It was fancy.
Mexico? Going to Mexico?
Florida.
I think that my best trip with you, I think that it was probably really any time I'm in the car with you is wonderful. Or any time we're going on a trip.
Bigger
I don't think there's a favorite.
I would almost agree with that.
My mother and dad were coming up, and we'd been probably a month by then, and they drove up from South Dakota. Brother Don and Dick both lived in the cities, so they were coming up to see the boys. But they were coming over on Saturday night for dinner. And so Mary was going to fix a roast beef dinner and have a homemade apple pie. But she needed some material, a bread crust or a pie crust mix. So I went over and bought one and came back, and in those days, again, I thought I should take a nap, and that was what I was supposed to do. So I laid down and took a nap on the Davenport. And by the time I wake up about 2 hours later, she's just taking the pie out of the oven. It turns out that she had to make 2 more trips back to the Red Owl store and pick up bread crust dough. And of course we wouldn't buy extra because we didn't have any money to buy extra.
39 cents.
And she got the pie done just in time for Mom and Dad to get there, but she'd forgotten you're supposed to start. She should have started the roast a little bit earlier than it wasn't even in the pan yet when my Mom and Dad got there. So my mother Alice, being the practical person she was, she took over and
threw it in the electric frying pan, and I don't know, we must have baked it on high, but we ate it eventually.
We fashionably late that night, but it was.
I was focused on the pie.
For our wedding gift from Pete and Max and some other couples, we had received 4 chairs and a card table. So that was our furniture. We didn't have any other furniture to sit in, and we had. This apartment wasn't very large, 2 bedrooms, but one bedroom held the dresser and the other bedroom held the bed. And then I'd made bookshelves and they were in the living room, and we had a secondhand TV I'd purchased from Tony Wagner. And it was really nice. You could be in bed or you could be in the living room, be the one and watch the TV. And we had 4 card table chairs and a card table. And so
all you needed.
That's all we had for furniture, and it was anyway. So we sat and visited on the card table chairs,
waiting for the roast.
Waiting for the roast to be done. So it was a really fancy dinner.
And I'm here to be with my sister, and everything sounds like she's this angel, like she's. Been doing all these wonderful things for everybody. So I'm here to tell you the rest of the story. It started like when we were in school, probably almost high school, maybe middle school. I'd wake up, my curlers are gone. But does Mary Lou look like the queen? Yes. And so she puts a jacket on, and I see her in the halls, and there's my blouse. So a lot of bickering back and forth about clothes and all that. But wait a minute. No, I think I took some of yours too. Every day it would be my scarf, my belt, brand new. I said, you took my belt, I'm taking your blouse. And that's one of the things throughout the years that I'm kind of the second-hand Rose. And I get all these hand-me-downs. But everybody goes, oh, that's such a darling top. Where'd you get it? My sister. Well, yeah, she did do a couple good things. When I was divorced and I got this car that was, I paid $300 for it, so you can about imagine what it was. And the B and the U had fallen off of it, so it was the ick. The ick car. So that died on the way when I was going to college and traveling 200 miles, 100 miles each way for 2 years, just twice a week. But Roy and Mary Lou decided maybe I should have their station wagon. So they were getting another car, and I got the station wagon. Boy, did I think I was something then. Goodbye, ick, and hello, station wagon. All I was lacking was the Labrador or the Retriever. But anyway, I just am going to cut it short. But we've never had a fight. And we're 76 and 77, so that says quite a bit. And I just love you, love you, love you. And it says it here on my sock. Oh, okay. Because who gave me the socks?
Mary Lou gave her the socks. Love ya. Mean it.
We had talked about starting a family early. We didn't want to wait because I was 26 and Mary Lou was 24, and at that time my brothers had both been married at 21 and their wives were 19, so they already had children, and so we thought we should start our family right away. So that was the plan, and we were going to have 12 babies. That was the plan, and it didn't work quite that fast, and so it took 4 years for the first one, and so we kept cutting back on the numbers. We ended up with the perfect number, which was 3, and we've been delighted with that, and 3 times 3, we have 9 grandchildren too, so
Perfect.
yeah.
Jack Michael, and I'm named after Uncle Mike.
My name is Veda Rose Alicia Bernstein. The name Alicia came from Grandma Terwilliger, Grandma Alice Terwilliger. I got my middle name Alicia from that.
Max Harold, and I'm named after Harold. First name, I'm named after my great grandma, I think. Or I'll just say Dad's grandma. And my middle name is Jean because my grandma Jean, that's my middle name. And that's Mom's mom.
My name's Thomas Scott, and I'm named after my dad, Scott.
My full name is Ariana Marie Anderson, and my parents didn't know that I was a girl before I was born, so I was a bit of a surprise. They didn't have a girl name picked out, so it took a few weeks, I think, and I was just called Bunny or something.
Yeah, we
For a while.
had bunny quilts and
Yeah.
things, so maybe that's where it came
Yeah,
from.
but and then the Ariana, my parents kind of disagree with who came up with that, I think. But the Marie was from Mary Lou's name, just changed a little bit to sort of flow with Ariana Marie.
My name's Andrew Roy, and I'm named after my grandpa.
My name is Kale Ray.
Waiting for June to be born. Yes, because you just moved into your house. And so we were excited to come back and have the baby born in the new, well, not in, but brought home to the new house.
The first one of the boys that was born in Des Moines.
Mm-hmm.
And we were excited to go down there and meet him.
Do you remember what Scott said when you found out his name was Andrew Roy? The only way to keep the name Roy going is to use it as middle names.
Many Roys around.
Alice, the day she was born, we were at Abbott Northwestern Hospital downtown, waiting outside the room, inside a little bit, but then when you were actually born, Grandpa and I think Aunt Susan, were outside the room, and we didn't know if it was going to be a girl or a boy. And then they said, "Come in, we have a new baby." And it was a girl, healthy girl.
I'd like to have you meet Alice Jean.
Yeah. They had the name already. We did not know anything.
Jack Michael. He was born on a very memorable day, and we were there. We were scheduled to be there. We planned to be there, and so we were all set. And then when he was introduced to us as I'd like you to meet Jack Michael, I said, "Is his name really Jack, or is it John? And you're going to call him Jack?" And because I've known a lot of Jacks over the years, but they'd all been named John, and then you'd call him Jack. I don't know why that nickname goes with John, but I was informed that it's truly Jack, and couldn't be happier with Jack Michael.
Ariana was born at, what was the street? Does anybody remember?
Oh, I
No.
don't know.
South Minneapolis, it doesn't matter, in
Little
a
house.
upstairs of a duplex. And that was the first time that I ever knew of someone being born at home other than, generations back, my mother or whoever. And so we had offered to be there during this home birth. It was going to be in a birthing tub, which was all new to us too, which her folks had rented or borrowed, I'm not sure which, but anyhow. So that was there, and we got the call in the morning. Actually, I think you were going to leave
I was gonna go pick up Mike in
at
New York.
St. Lawrence at school because it was May 5th, and he was finished with his school, and I said, oh, I think you better stay. He decided he wouldn't go then that morning because it was an early call. And so we went over to the apartment and spent a good part of the day waiting, and then finally, I think it was in the afternoon.
You and I went for a walk because it was the middle of the afternoon, and then when we got back, then things had progressed, and
So here was
she's
this
born.
little baby born in underwater, and I'm, of course, very happy to see that it was a healthy baby girl trying to bubble up, and it was like a little fish. Yeah, it was very cute, very sweet.
We have a videotape of it, and
You did movies?
I did a
Yeah,
video of it.
8mm movies.
Yeah.
And what did you do, Mom, the next 24 hours?
I stayed right there and held her. Dad did go on to New York to get mine. And I just stayed and held her on this little futon. Yeah. So that was so fun. I just kept my hand to make sure she was breathing all the time. Didn't sleep, didn't shut my eyes.
Well, Tommy was born in Rochester, and of course we were there. We were down there, and it was quite an event. We didn't know, nor did we know any of the boys if they were going to be a boy or girl. So when Tommy was born, well, that was exciting because it became the first grandson. We already had Ariana, first granddaughter, and now we had the first grandson, Thomas Scott. So we were truly excited. Born at Methodist Hospital in Rochester, 7/7/97.
And we were not at Cale's birth, but as soon as he was born, or shortly after, I think it was your dad who called and said, we have a boy. And that was exciting, and then we went a few days later, I think it was, and got to hold you and see you. Sweet little baby. Sweet little baby.
Well, Charlie was born in the afternoon at Fairview Southdale Hospital, and he died. And I just remember I'd come from a meeting, and everybody was there waiting for Charlie. And so we didn't know if it was going to be a boy or girl either. And don't remember the exact time of day, but I just remember it seemed like a long wait. But he arrived, and we were really pleased. Charles Michael.
Well, Max was the only one that came a little before schedule. And so we were just at home, and his mom called and said, I think I might be going to have a baby pretty soon. I thought, well, we better head down there. So we did, and we got there right after you were born. And we didn't know, of course, if it was a boy or a girl. And your mom said, meet Max Harold.
When Veda was born, she was born in Woodbury, in the Woodwinds Hospital, I believe it's called. And we were waiting for her to be born, and waiting in the waiting area. And I walked down the hallway past the delivery room and back. I was kind of walking back and forth, and as I walked by, I heard this cry, her first cry. So that was it.
today.
Yeah.
Been a long time. He's getting so big. I know it. What's this for a snuggle? Good spot.
Comfy.
Very comfortable.
See if you still fit.
You always have room to snuggle.
There's
Perfect. Perfect.
Like that. And it didn't show in black and white or camera.
Cut! Cut people!
Things you're gonna talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be quiet.
You're not supposed to look, Mother.
Well, I wanna know. I'll be
It's
interested.
a spark shower. I was sitting on Mom's lap. She used me as a shield, so that was good. And then we had the bell ringer that.
But I'd never been. I can never do it. I don't
I
know.
can't either.
It's a-
Cut. Cut. Cut.
Any other stories, people?
Shut